Greetings, ninth grade, English 1 and English Honors 1. We are looking at reviewing the questions for Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 1. The first question we already answered in class, but we're still going to review it. And that is, what do you learn about the two families from the phrase, both alike in dignity? We learn that they share the same social status in the town of Verona. The second one, according to lines 3 through 4, what is the relationship like between the two families? The two families don't like each other, and they have been at war with each other for quite some time. There is this animosity and this grudge between the two families. And the third part of the first question. According to line 6, what does the prologue say has happened to Romeo and Juliet? Romeo and Juliet have committed suicide. Let's move on to question number 2. We want to explain the characters' play on the word move by discussing which definition each speaker uses and how does this dialogue affect the mood of the scene. So, Samson says that he would attack if he were moved. That means that if he were angry enough, Samson would attack. But Gregory says that he's not as quick at sword play, so he does not move quickly, meaning he's slow as a swordsman. And so these two plays on words help with the puns and the insults and the Shakespearean smack talk that we talked about. And that's what's going on in that dialogue. Question number 3. What does Samson do when he sees the Montague's servants, and why? Why does he take back this gesture? And what do the servants' actions reveal about the conflict between the two families? So, Samson is trying to start a fight with the Montague servants, and he's going to do a rude and crude gesture for Shakespeare's audience and the ancient time periods, which would be to bite your thumb at someone. He does this because he wants to incite a fight, but he doesn't want to get charged with starting the fight. So he takes back this gesture because he realized the law is not on his side if he is the one that incites the fight. What does this action reveal about the conflict between the two families? It reveals that the hatred between the two families goes all the way down to even the servants, and everyone in town unfortunately gets pulled into the drama of these two families. Question number 4, why does Gregory's attitude towards fighting change? He realizes that he could get in trouble because now here comes Tybalt. And Tybalt has the ability to tell Gregory and Samson what to do because he's a higher ranked status Capulet family member. Number 5. Explain how Tybalt's action contrasts with Benvolio's. What characteristics of Benvolio's is brought out through this contrast, and what characteristic of Tybalt's is brought out through this contrast? So the word that we're looking for to explain this contrast is foil. That the two characters are sharp contrasts of each other. We see that Benvolio is the peacemaker. He's trying to break up the fight, whereas Tybalt is trying to keep the fight going. And we hear through the stage directions that Tybalt is hot-headed. And so Tybalt is one of those people that's always looking for a fight. He has a short fuse, and he has an anger management problem. He needs help in expressing his frustration and anger in an appropriate way. Question number 6. What support in these lines 68 through 73, for the inference that Lady Montague and Lady Capulet are more sensible for than their husbands? And so Lady Capulet says that her husband needs a crutch more than a sword. In line 69, you're old. Why are you going out there and trying to fight? And Lady Montague is holding her husband back. You can see from the stage directions. And she does not want him to fight Lord Capulet. So the ladies would like the fighting to stop. Number 7. In lines 74 through 96, summarize the prince's warning to the two families about their feud. So the prince is kind of ticked off because this is the third time that these two families have been fighting, and he calls them enemies of peace in line 74. Rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbor-stained steel. Wow. It's pretty harsh. And he continues. He goes on and calls them, you beasts that quench the fire of your pernicious rage with purple fountains issuing from your veins. He's saying that enough. Your hate is consuming you and it's disturbing the peace in town. And he's fed up. And the next person that starts a fight in lines 89 through 90. If you ever disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay for the forfeit of peace. So he is going to give them the death penalty because he's so fed up with these two families fighting with each other and disturbing the peace in town. We look at question number 8, lines 109 through 116. What metaphor is in Benvolio's response to Lady Montague? What image does this metaphor create, and what practical information does it also convey? So we're looking at that Benvolio said that the sun peered forth the golden window of the east. And this metaphor tells us what time of day it was when he was out walking. The idea that the sunrise was just coming up. And it tells Lady Montague that he was out before dawn and that he saw Romeo walking alone by himself by a group of sycamore trees or in the sycamore grove. So it establishes the fact that both Benvolio and Romeo were out late at night or early morning, depending on your perspective, out for a walk because things were troubling them. Question number 9. Explain what Benvolio was doing when he saw Romeo and why. What does this information about Benvolio suggest about Romeo? And what is Lord Montague's feeling about his son? So we have to look at lines 117 through 123. So Benvolio had some things on his mind, so he decided to go out for a walk very early in the morning before the sun came up, which shows that he's restless and that he couldn't sleep. But Romeo must have had a troubled mind for something too, because he was out walking early by himself. And Lord Montague is very concerned about his son because he has observed his behavior. And so he's confiding in his nephew, hey, can you find out what's wrong with my son? Question number 10. What can you infer about why Benvolio makes this offer to Lord Montague? We need to look at lines 149 to 150. We've already seen that Benvolio is a kind and sensitive kind of person, and that he's motivated by his concern for his cousin. And his aunt and uncle are worried about their son Romeo, and so Benvolio is going to try to figure out if he can talk and see what's wrong with Romeo. Question number 11, lines 155 to 167. What is Benvolio's purpose in this conversation? Does Romeo suspect his intention? Why or why not? So Benvolio is trying to find out what's wrong with Romeo. And Romeo doesn't suspect anything because he's so preoccupied with his own problems. He doesn't even realize that a fight has taken place in the town square. And so we see that in line 166, where he says, "Oh me, what fray was here?" Number 12 makes us look at lines 169 through 175. Describe the language Romeo uses in his speech to express his feelings about love. So Romeo uses all of these contradictory expressions, the heavy lightness, the misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. He's expressing that he's just so confused about love. He feels horrible. And love should make you feel happy, but he feels frustrated and sad. And we see this in the line where he says, at line 175, "This love feel I, that feel no love in this. Dost thou not laugh?" He's asking his cousin, "Would you not laugh at me because of the way I feel?" And he's just confused, and he's feeling the wrong type of love. He has an obsessive love over this person who we don't know who is just yet. Question number 13. What do we learn about Romeo or the plot that is developed in these lines, in lines 190 through 204? So we learn that Romeo is in love with a woman who does not return his love. He says that she will not be hit with Cupid's arrows. In other words, she's immune to Romeo's charm. And even when we turn to the top of page 190, where he says, nor by the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saint seducing gold. She's not even impressed with the fact that Romeo is wealthy, and he can't understand this rejection, which gets us to question number 14. Why does this woman not return Romeo's love? And how would you describe Romeo's reaction to his problem? What inferences about his character can you make from his behavior and words? And how does Benvolio vow to help Romeo to resolve this conflict? So in lines 201 to 231, we see that this girl does not have an interest in Romeo. She has taken a vow of chastity, and she does not want anything to do with him. Because of this, Romeo's like shocked, like, "I'm rich. How could you not want to be with me? I'm a Montague. How could you not want to be with me?" And so he reacts by plunging into a deeper depression. He is intensely emotional and unstable. And we see this about his character, that instead of trying to talk to people, he's isolating himself and he's becoming withdrawn. Although Benvolio is trying to talk to him and listen to him and figure out how he can help him, Romeo is just so consumed with how he feels and the rejection that he feels because this woman does not return the affections that he has. So Benvolio tries to help Romeo by saying, just find someone new. I will help you get over this by realizing that you can find someone new. And that's where our scene 1 ends.